Pinterest just predicted that, and it could mean a lot for the water sector.
Oh my god, what is that?
Indeed, there's one single behavior of Pinterest users that enables foreseeing the future. Think of it. Do you know someone that's into do-it-yourself or handcraft stuff? Before starting a new project, they would browse for ideas, and putting them together on a platform like Pinterest is pretty convenient for assembling a mood board. So if you were to look into that board, you would somehow sense the future and know which project they're up to next. Now, let's upscale that. Imagine you're Pinterest and you can look into the boards of a little less than 400 million users.
Seems like an invasion of privacy.
Now, you not only know that I may want to build a studio in my garage, but you also know what everyone's up to in the next months and years. And so every year, Pinterest gathers that information and publishes it in a prediction report. Over the past 3 years, they ended up being right in about 80% of their insights, which is, you'd agree with me, a sizable hit rate.
Not bad, not bad.
I know what you think, though. That's probably great for designers, architects, or wedding planners, much less of an interesting prospect for water professionals or investors. Right? Well, until this year, because one of the trends they spotted is actually pretty accurate for us. In their report, the Pinterest folks called it rainscapes. What it tells is that boomers and Gen X all over the globe will invest in rainwater harvesting, rain barrels, and drought-tolerant landscaping for natural ways to make their homes more sustainable. They've started looking into it, and we're discussing here trend development between plus 35% and plus 385%. Arguably, something's happening. And so what?
Good question.
Well, I'd say that trend is threefold. First, straight off the bat, if you're a company into B2C rainwater harvesting or even small-scale B2B approaches, help yourself. There's a market.
Thank you!
But I'm pretty sure you didn't need me to find out exactly that. So let's unfold the second consequence. It's proof people have started embracing climate change adaptation. We're no longer talking here of big guys far away having to reduce their carbon impact so the planet can stop heating up. We are talking of actual end users, noticing that their access to water may be reduced in the future, that probably already experienced it during the summer of 2022, and for whom the stats saying that anytime soon 2/3 of humanity will live in water-scarce areas suddenly became much more tangible. If you're rich enough to own your home and invest in its sustainability, the trend Pinterest spotted makes a lot of sense. Rather than waiting for someone to guarantee your access to water, you'd better do it yourself.
We really shouldn't trust anybody.
But what if you were just renting, living in a building, or simply laboring from paycheck to paycheck? Wouldn't you still want some water security for your future? Of course you would. So developing a mid-scale collective solution for your community would make a lot of sense, meaning that politicians, utilities, and private companies would be well inspired to sit together in 2023 and roll out the distributed water management of the future. In a nutshell, rainwater harvesting, greywater use cases, and even on-site water reuse belong to that exact same trend we discuss. We've got the tech. Unfortunately, climate change builds up the need, and we know those approaches are profitable to everyone.
I see this as an absolute win.
So people realizing it's about time to start working on it may well be the exact spark we were looking for here. Let's quickly recap what we've covered so far. First, boomers harvesting the rain from their gutter is a small-scale direct trend. Second, as I just explained, I see a pretty straightforward mid-scale consequence as well, with distributed rainwater harvesting, dynamic storage and use, and why not different shades of wastewater reuse. But what about the large scale? That's where I'd see a third and last prospective consequence. Of course, that's the least agile of all the segments I have discussed so far. But as climate change triggers extreme events, it not only results in water-scarce months, but also in water overflows. Oftentimes, you'll have in the exact same geography a month with far too much water, think of a monsoon, and 11 other months with various shades of scarcity. So if you were to be able to mitigate the former by storing a lot of water to better survive the latter, by slowly emptying the storage, you just replicate at a larger scale what our boomers and Gen X do in their gardens.
I see this as an absolute win.
This kind of projects have been around for some years now, but they've often met major hurdles like a lack of financing or sizable popular opposition. But in a world where we're more and more concerned about our ability to feed everyone in the future if we don't solve our open water riddles, building your reuse loops within the overall water cycle sounds like the most resilient and clever solution on the short, mid and long term, and on the small, middle and large scale. Did Pinterest really predict that? Well, yes and no. I maybe extrapolated a bit, adding my wishful thinking into the pot. But you'll tell me in the comments how far off you think I am, right? Anyways, I see it as a very positive sign for the water sector, its visibility and its impact to see it featured in a general opinion data trend analysis. Water has been flying under the radar for far too long. It's about time for things to change, and it may start in 2023. Wanna follow that change, watch the trends and make sure to understand water to solve the world? And consider subscribing to this channel for more. And if you're interested in a real-life case study of a country that turned its water circular, you may want to look into my exploration of Singapore. The video is right here, and if I was clickbaity, I'd tell you that number 7 will surprise you. See you next time.